Good afternoon, everyone. This is Vikas. I'm the project head of the DLA, the Digital Loop Accelerator, our new initiative in Albania, to which we are trying to arouse interest. And thank you for participating. I see there are 17, 18 people. Great. I am so happy to see that. Let's do this webinar in this format. It's of 2 hours. We'll try to finish sooner. But I'll do an introduction in 5 minutes, and then I'll quickly hand over first to Eve, who is the co-founder or founder and CEO of Bundlee, a baby clothes company from London. And then Evrim will follow her with talking about his startup called Cyclecure, which is one of the top startups in Belgium. So let's get started. DLA, which started about a few weeks back. Webinars are a crucial aspect of this program. It's a venture studio program that admits 10 startup teams. They are startup teams, not startups, and they actually build startups along certain standard ideas. These ideas, we are calling them as digital loops, because it's a loop. I'll explain to you towards the end of the presentation what digital loops are. It's more important to listen from the practitioners first, and then you'll probably get a better understanding. So the applicants or the startup teams can choose which digital loop they want to implement. They could choose from a standard 5 digital loops that are most popular in the world, or they could build their own 6th one by taking ideas from various companies, from various digital loops, or they can create their own. And we really appreciate this creativity on their part. So they choose the ideas, and then we start the 4-month program. There is a grant money of up to 47,000 euros. And with that, the startup teams build their startups very quickly. The focus is on not too much, don't think too much and don't generate too many fancy ideas. Don't generate too much, don't build too much revolutionary technologies. Keep the idea simple, keep the technology simple, and start executing, start selling, start hunting for customers, consumers, and start making money. And we hope that a lot of these 10 startups that we invite to the batch, I think I'm very hopeful that at least 7 to 8 will start earning revenues within a few months. With this hope, I am handing over to Eve, who is going to inspire us how to create startups like these. And that's, I'm not saying that her startup it falls neatly into one digital loop or one category, but yes, you will see similarities between what we are talking about, and what she's building, and you'll probably be able to get an idea as to what digital loops are and how to build a startup which generates money. By taking inspiration and ideas and knowledge from Eve. So Eve, I hand it over to you, and thank you first of all for coming.
Lovely. Thank you, Vikas. Amazing to see so many people on this webinar as well. So I'm really excited to share what I've been building with Bundlee, and hopefully it will help inspire you guys to get involved with the Digital Loop Accelerator. So let me just share my screen.
While you are at it, Eve, I forgot to tell the people participating that they can ask questions and answers, like questions at any point. There is a space where they can ask, and these will be taken up at the right moment, most probably at the end of your presentation, Eve. But they can type their questions at any moment.
Yes. So can you see my screen okay? Perfect.
Yes.
So yeah, as Vikas said, I'm the founder of Bundlee, and we're the leading multi-brand online rental subscription service for young children's wear in the UK. So in this presentation, I'll explain the problem that I set out to solve. I'll share a bit about me and my background, and then the circular model that I've built with Bundlee. So there's this growing problem with kids. They're constantly outgrowing their clothes. In their first 2 years alone, they outgrow 7 clothing sizes. And in their first 4 years, they outgrow 9 clothing sizes. And this is the fastest fashion because it's necessity driven. They need a whole new wardrobe every few months or so. And for parents and the planet, this is very, very wasteful. They're getting through tens, if not hundreds of pieces of clothing every single year. It also gets super expensive for families. So some studies has found that after childcare and food, clothing is the third most expensive item for families to provide to their little ones. It's also really clutter inducing. Don't know if there's any parents on the call, but they'll know that familiar feeling of home feeling like it's constantly overrun with all these clothes. And it's super time consuming. Firstly, accessing the clothes. Like imagine for yourself, you're having to get a whole new wardrobe every few months. But it's also time consuming figuring out what to do with those outgrown clothes. Whether you want to try and sell them on, maybe online for a resale platform, but you're still going to have to write all the description and list it on there and communicate with buyers. So I really felt like there wasn't a solution on the market that helped parents on all of these levels. So yeah, my name is Kekeh, and I really am passionate about using circularity to transform this wasteful children's wear space for the better. And my passion started when I did my master's thesis on this idea. So I'd first experienced the rental model for myself when I was studying abroad in the US. And there, Rent the Runway was one of the pioneers of the rental model. They're a women's wear rental service for really high end, mainly like designer dresses. So I would rent dresses for like the formal events I was going to, and it was just such a good way to access clothes that I'd only need for one evening at a much better price. And that rental model kind of lodged itself in my head. And then I was thinking of like, where else could we apply this model? And with children's wear, it just makes so much sense because it is necessity driven. So since then, I've been put on the Forbes 30 under 30 list for social entrepreneurship. I was also awarded Sustainability Entrepreneur of the Year for London. And this year, Innovate UK, which is the UK's government body for innovation, has awarded me alongside 49 other women as the Women in Innovation Award winners for the year, which also provided some grant funding as well, which is great. And I'll talk a bit about towards the end of the presentation. So, here's what I've created with Bundlee. This is what our circular model looks like. So families first subscribe to Bundlee and they pick their favorite pieces to rent from our partner brand styles, and I'll give you a demo of that. We deliver close to their doorstep in our reusable packaging, which you can see here. So it's fabric packaging made from recycled plastic bottles, actually, and it normally has a little zip tie here to keep it, I think the blur's blurring it, but to keep it secure. Um, Families then use these clothes, so they keep the clothes for as long as they need that size or the season. And on average, they're renting a set for about 3 months or so. And when it's time to swap, they simply return the clothes in the outgrown that they've outgrown in the reusable packaging to return them to us at Bundley, and we'll then send them the next size up. So in the background, these clothes are getting professionally cleaned. They're also getting sanitized and inspected to ensure they meet the highest standards of quality and safety for the next renting family. And I've outsourced these operations to our fulfillment partner, who specializes in circular fashion models. Um, and then clothes that pass our quality control, they're ready for a new lease of life with the next renting family. And of course, some clothes are not up to the condition to carry on being rented through our rental cycle. So we either sell these as pre-loved, donate these, or recycle them for the textiles. So we're ensuring nothing ever goes to landfill with this model. Um, and so with this rental model, there's a few different ways that you can execute it. At Bundley, our main model is a subscription model, and that's something that I spent years trying to perfect. And I've tried it in two different ways, which I'll show you demos of. And then there's also one-off rentals as well, which could work for some other products that maybe some people on this webinar are interested in.
If you can ask, if I can ask a quick question, Eve, what's the duration of this cycle? Is it a 2 year period that that it lasts for, or less than that? Do you give people an option, or it's a standard 2 year model?
So people, when they subscribe, there's no commitment period. So they could join for 1 month if they wanted. And what I've really found with subscriptions is that consumers are very wary of them now. A couple of years ago, everyone was just like, subscribe to this, subscribe to that. And now people are getting scared of getting locked into models. So for parents, we just keep it as flexible as possible. So they're paying basically on a monthly rolling basis. Most people keep a set for 3 months. We have customers who've been with us for years now, and they'll just keep on swapping as their little one grows. On average, most customers stay for over a year. And we now offer clothes from 0 to 4 years. So the maximum amount of time they could stay with us now is 4 years. And my aim is to keep growing our available sizes as our customers' little ones keep growing. So these are some of the brands that we're now partnered with. Just to make sure these products are like the best assortment that people can find. And yeah, these are some great brands. I mean, brands that are on here are some of my dream brands that when I first started this, I was like, I can only hope one day I'll be able to partner with them. Um, and there's different ways that rental models work with brands, including buying the clothes at wholesale, working on consignment models where the more you rent out, the more you pay the brand, and also getting past season and return stock, because often brands don't know what to do with those past season pieces. And usually, because you're doing a circular model, you can negotiate more favorable payment terms with brands, because they want to get involved in these circular models, but they just don't have the resources to do them themselves. So working with a startup enables them to start learning about these models. It enables them to tell their consumers, their customers, that they're involved in the circular economy, but they're not really having to do the risk of putting all their resources into starting their own model. And then this is a quote from Stella McCartney, who's obviously such a pioneer of sustainable fashion. And she said, as a mother of four, I've seen firsthand how quickly my kids grew out of their clothes. In a time where we need to consume less and do more for the planet, the idea of rentals in the kids' wear space makes perfect sense. And I'm thrilled that Stella McCartney Kids can be a small part of this journey. So these are some examples of the subscription model. So this first one is what we call our capsule plan. So on the capsule plan, it's actually our own brand called Bundlee Originals, which people can rent here. And we've created this custom built flow for parents to fill in a short questionnaire, which we then use to send them a predefined set of clothes which matches their questionnaire answers. So this is what kind of the e-commerce experience looks like. And then as their little one grows, the selection of clothes will change. And actually, this came because I had first thought when I was starting this, oh, I'll just reach out to brands. Everyone will want to partner. I'll have their clothes available for rental. But actually, I found when I was reaching out to those brands at the very beginning, where I didn't really have much to show for it, they were all like, just they had too many questions. They were like, how does this work? How many customers have you got? Like, what who will be renting our clothes, all of these questions, and I didn't have the proof points to show them at that point. So I actually had to develop our own range, this Bundley Originals range, and ended up doing this capsule model just so I could really have a proof point that clothes can be reused throughout the circular model. We can get multiple uses out of them, and that we could start acquiring customers with it. So that was the first model, and this is still live on the Bundley website. Then, once we had more proof points, I was able to go to brands and get those brand partnerships that you saw in the slide before. And these brands are now available on our personalized plan. So on the personalized plan, parents can pick their favorite pieces to rent from, I think we've got about 16 brand partners on there now. And they're effectively like building out a wardrobe for their little one from these different categories. And yeah, we've custom built this builder page because there wasn't really any out of the box tools that we could use for this as it's such a new model. And this actually won Subscription Website of the Year at the UK E-commerce Awards. So yeah, this is what the experience looks like for customers. And the great thing about circular models is that alongside sustainability benefits, the fact that these clothes are getting reused, we also have great financial savings for customers. So on average, people who rent with us through the personalized plan are saving 75% compared to buying clothes new. Um, and then separate to the subscription models, I also wanted to show you a one-off rental model. And this might work for some of the use cases that will be looked at in the Digital Loop Accelerator. So this is something that we've kind of trialed in the background at Bundlee. We've never majorly pushed it, but I've run basically like an MVP level for it. And this is where parents can rent outerwear and special occasion pieces just as one-off rentals. So they can rent them for 10 days to 3 months, and there's no subscription involved. So maybe this might spark some of ideas of potential like products which you think actually work better for a one-off rental model. Think. And I wanted to talk about who our customer is, because our customers initially normally come to us or hear about us because of the sustainability side of things. That's a great way to kind of spread the word about what we're doing. Customers have experienced the problem themselves, their little ones constantly outgrowing clothes and they're looking for ways to reduce their waste. But usually to get them to subscribe, you need like or to join you, you need another benefit alongside the sustainability. Price is a great benefit to have. So as I said, they can save 75% compared to buying clothes new. So that's something you could think about. Quality and style. So with us, these parents, they're able to access like a higher quality of product than they normally would if they were buying clothes. That's a great way to get people in. Also style, the fact that they're able to access these amazing brands all in one place. And then space and convenience. So I think with any circular model, you need to make it as convenient as possible. Stuff like our free returns helps do that. We can even collect people's returned clothes from their home to make it even easier for them. And also they're saving space in their home because they're able to get rid of outgrown clothes as soon as they're outgrown. And now through this model, just earlier this year, we actually hit the milestone of 100,000 clothing rentals through this scalable system that we built. I'd say one of my biggest challenges when getting started was there weren't really any out of the box tools to run the rental subscription model. There's definitely more options available now, but often you'll find when you're starting a circular model, especially if it's in a product category where it hasn't been done before, there's not like many tools specifically made for it, and you often have to kind of take some tools, take some apps and tweak them to what you need them to achieve. And there's like some key software and tools that have led to the development of what has been like to this milestone of 100,000 rentals. So firstly, we developed our own inventory management software. We need to track the life cycle of each garment throughout the rental cycle. And it's really important to have visibility over where stock is. Is it in the warehouse? Is it being washed? Is it with a customer? So we've actually added like individual tracking tags to every single garment. They're sewn in, and then we can scan the products as they go around the circular model. And this software was the first of its kind, and we actually got some funding from the UK government to build it. We've got a great partner in our fulfillment partner who do all the fulfillment, cleaning, and sanitization of clothes. So that's something you can think about, like, are there other partners that you can tap into so you're not having to do such an investment in especially like the physical aspects of the business because that can get very pricey very quickly. And all of this has led to us having this scalable system that's able to complete 100,000 rentals. So let me show you just like a little behind the scenes video of the clothes being cleaned. So when I started this, I had no idea how many uses we'd be able to get out of the clothes. I kind of worked on some assumptions, but because we track clothes throughout their rental cycle, we now know that thousands of our clothing pieces have been to 5 or more families. So we're building a real difference there. And we did a life cycle assessment that found that our model saves 96% of the water usage and 86% of the carbon dioxide equivalent emissions compared to buying clothes new. And just to quickly talk about some funding options as well. So obviously this program is a great way to get started and get some capital in. How I started was similar. So I originally took part in a university competition where I was awarded a bit of funding, which enabled me to get started with a pilot. I've then also had other grant funding. I was part of an accelerator called Climate Kick, which provided some grant funding. Innovate UK, which is, as I said, the UK government's like innovation body, they have provided some grant funding for all the kind of more innovative stuff we're building, like the software development. And then London, which is like a London-based reuse organization, recently provided some funding so that we could extend our available clothing sizes. You could also look at getting investment. So I've got angel investment and some family office investment, and that's been great because that can just help you have the resources you need to catapult your business forward. And crowdfunding as well. So crowdfunding is great, especially if you're doing like a consumer business, because it can get you in front of thousands and thousands of people who could become like future customers. It is definitely a time-consuming process. So if anyone's thinking about it, you need to think really clearly about if you want to do it. But I think if you already have like a community of people who are interested, that can be a good way to get funding as well. So thank you guys so much for just listening to this. I'm really excited to be a mentor on this program. So hopefully I'll get to work with you in the future and provide some advice from my own experience. But if anyone wants to connect on LinkedIn or follow Bundlee's journey, if you just use your phone, you can scan those QR codes and it should take you to the right place.
Eve, thank you so much. Wonderful presentation. Could I ask, so there is one question on the Q&A panel, but if I can, I have one question from your presentation and I'll then hand it over to Ariola. You mentioned something about inventory and having RFID tagging. Are you doing it yourself? It's not like if a customer selects a piece of clothing that the partner company sends it directly, or it's you maintain an inventory, you spend it, and you tag every piece of clothing and so on. So could you explain that, please? And then we'll go to the other question.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good question. So at Bundlee, we own all the inventory ourselves. So that's why I work directly with brands because I'm able to then basically purchase stock from them. And so we have all the inventory in one place at our fulfillment center. We'll tag them with our special tags, and then they'll be going out to customers, but from our fulfillment center. And whenever customers return them, they're returned to our fulfillment center as well. So this keeps it smooth. This is because customers are selecting 15 pieces that they want to receive in one go. There's probably ways to do it where you're kind of slotting in with the brand's own fulfillment, but that would probably work better if you're talking about 1 or 2 units at a time.
Okay, got it. So there are expenses involved in actually warehousing and cleaning, and so you have to budget that all in
Mhm.
when setting up. Right from the day one, did you actually budget this, or this evolved?
It definitely evolved. So from day one, I was doing all the fulfillment myself. I got like a storage unit, had some clothes there, was packing all the orders myself, and also like working with just like local laundry services to get them cleaned. But it was very clunky. Obviously, as a founder, you don't want your time to be spent doing like all the physical aspects. You want to be working on things that can grow the business. So yeah, that's how I started. And then I found this fulfillment center. They actually reached out to me, which was a blessing, and they had specialized in renting men's suits themselves, and they built out like all the infrastructure needed to do it. And then they realized, oh, there's like these new fashion startups who are doing the rental model. Maybe we could use what we've already built to do the fulfillment for these startups. So it was a very good timing, basically. But yeah, and looking at the questions in the chat.
Yes, go ahead, and you may want
Yeah.
to answer them one by one, please.
Yeah, so our Joler asked, given that Bundlee is a rental service, how do you manage situations where clothes are returned damaged, and how does that influence your customer experience strategy? Another great question. So, yeah, I basically factor into the pricing that a percentage of clothes are going to be returned damaged. Obviously, when you're starting out, it's really hard to know what that percentage would be. Ideally, you would start with a kind of pilot so you can like test it and start learning. Okay, the first set of clothes, let's say 3 out of 15 pieces that come back and you can't reuse them. How will that change over the time? So really, it's just a learning thing, and then you can tweak your pricing to take that into account. And from a customer perspective, I'd say one of our customers' key concerns is they don't want to be the one who ruins a clothing piece. They're like nervous about it. So we just need to do a lot of messaging around, don't worry, it's fine. We know babies are messy. We know kids are messy. Like, it's absolutely fine. We're expecting some clothes to not be reusable. As long as like the majority are, that's all okay. So I think it's just about, yeah, making customers feel comfortable with that. Um,
I- If I can ask you to elaborate one more element related to take back this,
yeah.
giving back the last end of the cycle. How do you do this? Do you yourself collect it, or you ask the people to send it in a parcel and to ship it to you? How do you do this, and what challenges have you faced? Because this is not an easy problem to solve. If
Yeah. Yeah, so we have our reusable packaging like this, which gets blurred out, but hopefully you can see it. So this comes with a free returns label, and parents send the clothes back in this. They send it through like the UK's postal service. However, there is also the option for that postal service to collect the set from their house, which can just make it easier for parents. I feel like the key is making it as easy as possible for someone to return something. You don't want there to be too many obstacles. For example, when I started out, people were having to print out their own returns label, and that's just a bit too much of an obstacle. So then we realized, okay, if we print it for them, it just makes it easier. So yeah, and like the majority of clothes will get returned. You do sometimes get some scammers coming in, and there's ways that you can prevent that as well. Like you could ask for a deposit. We don't, just because the percentage is so small. But it's something that like if you're doing like really high value stuff, you'd probably want to have some kind of deposit or ID verification in place.
Thank you.
And then the next question was, what were the key decisions early on that allowed Bundlee to move from a sustainable idea to a sustainable business? So I'm guessing we talk about sustainability in terms of like the planet here. I think ultimately it's the founder's motivation for doing what they're doing. If you are motivated to run a business that is reducing waste, helping the planet, you're probably going to carry on. Considering the planet in all of your decisions. And that's what I really tried to do. I tried to, yeah, know that, of course, the model and what we're inherently doing is helping recirculate products, which is great. But I need to be thinking about sustainability elsewhere. I need to be thinking about it in terms of the product that I'm sourcing from brands. Like, do these brands use better materials? Do they have ethical practices? With our fulfillment center, they're a B corporation, and they really care about like reusing water and reusing energy. Making sure we get as much life out of the clothes as possible is really important as well. Getting our reusable packaging, working with the delivery partner that we do because they do the lowest carbon deliveries in the UK. So just starting to think about it in every decision. But I think if you're someone who already cares, it's probably going to follow through into the business.
The third question is not for you. If I could ask you one more question, so which model did you start out with before coming up with a subscription model? Was there something that you saw that, okay, I can implement this model and it has very quick returns? So you started talking to a few brands and they were ready to list their products on your platform, and then you talked to a few customers, and then did you start with one-off renting or short-term renting? How did you start, which actually started generating traffic for you?
Yeah. So I actually started off without any brand partnerships. I just went to some shops, bought some clothes, and made kind of little sets of things that I felt like went nicely together, took some photos of it, put it on a website. It was a subscription model, but I was initially getting people to sign up for 3 months at a time. So it wasn't as flexible as the model we have now. So yeah, it was similar in some ways. The brands were completely different to the brands that we have now, but it still had that like subscription element. I think that's because that was the kind of business I wanted to run. I wanted to run a subscription business, and also because I think that made so much sense with just like the natural turnover of the clothes.
All right, thank you. You may look at the fourth question, and whatever information you want to share,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, so the fourth question is asking about financial highlights. This is something that can be really challenging with circular business models. Like it's not a straightforward model where you have stock and you sell the stock and you just make a profit straight away. Like actually sometimes with especially like a rental model, it can take a few months to have that stock circulated to start making a profit on it. This is why it's really important as well to try and negotiate good like payment agreements with whoever you're sourcing the stock from, because they are involved in this circular model and it's going to be completely different than a traditional e-commerce model. In terms of financial highlights that I can just share that we're doing like 6 figures a year. And yeah, that's probably what I can share at the moment. On a unit economic basis, we're profitable as well.
There is a fifth question also.
Ooh. Okay, the fifth question is looking back, what was the very first decision you made that set the foundation for Bundlee's success? And how did you advise someone at the idea stage to make their first moves wisely? I'd actually say it's kind of aligns with what Vikas was saying at the beginning of this. You want to basically get something going, get testing it as soon as possible. You don't want to be spending all your time trying to make the perfect version of something, spending months and months, and then you go and bring it to the world and it's crickets. No one, no one's like buying it or engaging with it. So I think the first decision that I made that was really good was, yeah, basically doing it as a pilot, testing it out. Because ultimately with Bundley's model, imagine if I had 8 pilot customers at first. Imagine if when they returned their clothes, all the clothes were completely ruined. There was no way to get another life out of them. I would have kind of known then, okay, this model isn't even possible, really. So I think testing it out on a small scale, it really does not need to be perfect at all. You just need to get something in the hands of your customers. I think that's the most important thing you can do.
And it's important to start earning revenues, and then it gives you a kick, and then and motivation to
Yeah.
keep building your startup. Did you also have a warehouse and RFI, not RFID tagging, but inventory and warehousing? Did you have it from day one, or you were just sourcing it from brands? Oh, yeah,
So
talk us. Yeah.
always sourced either from brands or from doing our own brand. So we've never done any kind of take back models where we take parents' clothes. And that's mainly because there's a lot of inventory challenges involved in that. If you're getting 1 unit per SKU, it's a lot of sorting you're gonna have to do, and it's very hard to make that efficient. So we always have multiple units per SKU, which is like per product basically. But yeah, I started with that storage unit myself, and kind of made myself a makeshift mini warehouse kind of thing. Honestly, at the time, you had to pay extra to have a light in your warehouse or in your storage unit, and I didn't have the money to pay it for a light, so I was really doing it in the dark, scrambling around. But yeah, and I just started off with a spreadsheet because you can do a lot with a spreadsheet. And that was before we had the tagging ability and stuff like that. So really, I just advise everyone to start off in like the simplest, most low cost way possible to just see, do people want this, and to get feedback as soon as possible.
This is a very good idea. Yes, I agree with that. Maybe we have space. I think we have run out of time, so no more space for more questions. So, Eve, thank you so much for your time, and I wish I mean, we will be working together, and you will be, seeing some bright people in Albania
Yeah.
working on their own circular economy startups, and you'll have the pleasure to guide them.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to being a mentor in the program and to seeing what everyone's working on, and yeah, to provide as much value as I can. So I'm looking forward to hopefully meeting a lot of you in the future.
Thank you, Eve,
Okay.
and bye bye. I think you'll be dropping off, so that'll be fine. Thank you for your time. So next, let's welcome Evrim, who is the founder and CEO of Cyclecure, one of the top circular economy startups in Belgium. And it's a pleasure having you, Evrim, and I hope you can share some lessons from building your startup, making it successful, generating revenues. And first of all, maybe, how did you choose this idea? Maybe what was the thought behind that idea? Maybe if you could start with that. But then I will let you handle your presentation your way.
Sure. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. I'm really happy and grateful that I have been invited to this community of entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs. I also have some small connection to Albania from my grandfather, who has been Albanian, and my father was born in Skopje, so I have some roots from the region as well. And 2, 3 weeks ago, I attended another wedding in Kosovo, which we extended to Albania. So it's a coincidence that I got this message from Vikas to share my experiences. So I'm very happy to be here. And at the end of the presentation, you have my name and LinkedIn that you can always feel free to add me and contact me if you have any follow-up questions. I am hoping you can hear me well, see me well, and also my screen. I will present my venture, and all ventures are different. You will see more and more. I compiled a list of slides and some basic bullet points just to share my experiences. So it's very unstructured and very informal. And I will try to do it in a, let's say, conversational mode, rather than giving a kind of a lesson or so. So we always start with the problem, because if there's no problem, there's no solution. And that's one of the major issues a lot of startup founders actually fall into. It's a trap that you like an idea, and without really digging into the problem and talking to the people that have experienced that problem, and people come up with an idea, they say this is a perfect solution, without validating or invalidating those assumptions. And they start something, and eventually they, after 2 years of burning a lot of investment money, they figure out that there's no clients for the product they have been building. So we started from the other way around. The problem we have seen in the beginning of the big explosion of micromobility that started in 2017, 18, and even accelerated further in 19 and 20. And with COVID, it went also crazy. There was a big hype around micromobility, and micromobility, to define, is these kick scooters or e-bikes or e-mopeds, so anything that has two wheels that are used for short distances. And if there's a hype, there's a lot of investment. And those investments are extremely magnified when it comes to US. So you see hundreds of millions being poured into businesses, and those VCs will push those startups or those founders to reach certain growth targets rather than targeting profitability or sustainability. So those always are secondary or even later priorities. And we have seen through this explosion, and you can see some of these photos are from China, like this one and this one as well, but all the others are taken from my personal mobile phone. These are all from Europe. These are from Belgium, from Netherlands, from Italy. So this is not like a dystopia that you see in another part of the world. This is really where we live in Europe, and there is a massive amount of electronic waste that may end up with this picture below here, that you see hundreds of bikes being squeezed and thrown away for no reason. So we have seen from this problem, there's a massive electronic waste coming up, and there's a lot of cost involved into producing these devices. And if you dig deeper, the batteries, the motors, which have rare earth materials, these are expensive products. They come all the way from China. So there's a massive waste of resources through this micromobility industry. And when we look at the problems to solve these issues, we see for the consumers, there's a lot of complaints regarding after-sales services. So you can buy a scooter and you go back to where you bought it, and you will face a lot of resistance to get it repaired or to replace it, etc. So we have seen that first. And customers are becoming more and more demanding when it comes to services that come with the after sales of it. So they expect perhaps the mechanic to come to your house so that the repair can take place in your, let's say, garage, rather than you taking a heavy e-bike to a workshop in the, I don't know, 5-10 kilometers distance. And on the infrastructural level, we have also seen there is no initiatives or there is no system to recycle such products. So you have, of course, your cans, your PETs, your your maybe batteries and your plastic bottles. But when it comes to such a thing, there's a lot of work involved to make it recyclable. So they need to be sorted, they need to be dismantled, and they need to be categorized for their materials. So there's not much happening in that. So we came with our solution to provide to a variety of micromobility players. This can be the large retailers selling these e-bikes or e-scooters. This can be the producers themselves. This can be the operators, sharing operators. This can be the person using this device. And it can go further beyond leasing companies, insurance companies, cities, and so on. So basically anywhere these products can be used. And we always highlight there are 4 R's: repair, reuse, refurbish, and recycle. That's the main where the circularity of our business comes from, which initially we started with repair, and then we extended into other elements in this. And we were only repairing the total device, and now we have even expanded our services into repairing the components as well. So this includes repairing batteries, repairing motors, and so on. So the amount of circularity is on the extreme level as we are trying to push forward with that. So just an introduction of what this company is about, and I will share more, hopefully more interestingly, how we came to this point, where we started, what decisions drove into becoming this, and basically my whole journey that started in 2019 and that brought us today. Even before I start that, personally, I am an engineer. I have a mechatronics degree, specialized in robotics that have nothing to do with these two-wheelers. Started in the automotive space. Even before that, I worked in the robotic industry as a researcher. I come from Turkey, studied in Turkey, and then moved to US, and then Spain, and then moved to Belgium, which became my home since 2011. But even during that period, I moved to France to do my MBA, then Singapore, then Netherlands. So I've been quite all over the place. And when I finished my MBA, with my background as a researcher and a bit of corporate in the automotive space, I was inspired by these startups in the micromobility space that I wanted to be a part of. And at the time, the startup saw me as a more of a corporate person rather than a startup person. That limited my options. So I took the decision to start something my own, even though I never intended to do so. So that's something that a lot of people will tell you. I am born entrepreneur. I was selling newspapers when I was 6 years old. I am not one of them. I am a turned entrepreneur at an age of 35. You will also see conflicting articles saying the most successful entrepreneurs are like 50 years old, etc. So you will see a lot of different examples, and it doesn't have to match with what you are, and there is no criteria to be a good entrepreneur. So it's all how you feel about it, how much energy you have to fight against it, because I'm using the word fight because it's not an easy battle. And a lot of people fail because they give up. And I will show my history of obsession to keep forward, even though I have faced incredible amounts of challenges throughout this phase. So let's start. Like I said, I was not an entrepreneur. I didn't know what to do in entrepreneurship. I had no entrepreneurial spirit, as many people will claim they have. I came from this corporate with a nice MBA from France, and I said, I want to do something in micromobility. I was lucky to meet some guys through my MBA that started this organization called Antler, originally from Singapore. Now it's around, I think, 20, 30 countries in a lot of different locations. And this program is designed so that some people can individually join. And in the program, it's all designed to facilitate idea generation, team building, finding co-founders. So this organization actually enabled me to start something around this space. And you can see the original idea was a subscription, basically a rental of kick scooters. So if you compare to today, it has nothing to do with what we used to do. We ran this business. We had a very small amount of money from our friends and family and some savings, which were very little. We got some clients that subscribed to this. We gave them products. Some of them stole it. Some of them throw it away. Some of them disappeared from the earth. So there are all types of challenges we have faced. And then we have been thinking, is this scalable? We went to investors, we went to banks, and the common reaction was, this is not something we can invest in. And this was the period of COVID with a lot of uncertainty. We failed to do any fundraising with that original idea. But that triggered something in me that we can find something in this ecosystem, because there are hundreds of, maybe thousands of devices in this industry that must be somehow reusable. And seeing those pictures from China, I was like, why don't we reuse those products, maybe refurbish them, maybe resell them, we can rent them, we can do something with them. So that started me chasing some players in Europe that have been famously very bad in operations, and they were going bankrupt. So we contacted a number of them and we said, we want to buy some products from you. And they were very happy to do so. They were already going bankrupt, so whatever they can extract from it was a success for them. So we somehow convinced a bank to source a deal that was more than 2,500 units, which is an incredible amount of devices that we couldn't even think of, or we never saw them together in our lives. I had no employees. I was just myself and one intern. And then I poured more interns into that, but still, every day there's another truck dropping 400 units, and we are like looking at them, what to do with these things. That's how we were building the experience on warehousing, inventory management, refurbishment, inspections, repairs, logistics, customer service, because we started reselling them as we refurbished them. And there we had some interns from my MBA, basically strategic consultants that were discussing, brainstorming how we should build this business ahead. And there we made the decision right after 9 months of running this project. And within 9 months, we were able to resell the all 3,000 units. So imagine in 2021 that was possible. Now it's impossible because the market is not there, or the market has changed quite dramatically. And we decided, okay, let's pivot from a rental model into basically repair, labor-driven, operationally intense business that doesn't require a lot of capital investment, but that's very human-based business, very traditional business, very unlike VCs. So it's a tough business we chose. And at the time, we didn't know what it would look like. So we started with that. So going fast forward, first year we made some small revenues, 100K, then it doubled in 23, 24, 25. You see it is growing, it is positive, it's nice, but if you make a graph, it's like growing linearly, which is something compared to what VCs or any startup articles will show, that hyperbolic, that crazy, hyper explosive exponential growth is not here, you can see. And that makes also its limitations when it comes to fundraising, but it's also a choice. It can be a personal decision to have it grow at the speed, at the pace you desire it to. So it's all up to the founder to decide something. And what I didn't mention here, that here I had 2 co-founders when we initially started, because the program you had to live with co-founders. But the first time we failed to do the fundraising, I had no co-founders. They were like, they had their deadline. If we have by this date some funding, we continue. If not, we are out. So here you can see I was the crazy one, the obsessive one that somehow believed into some small strain of hope, and that pushed forward and brought this company after 6 years into being profitable, a massive repair empire. I'm exaggerating, but accelerating that to what it looks like right now, we have a wide variety of clients that initially started B2C. We came to the first winter and we have seen the customer acquisition costs like growing exponentially. And we said, this is not sustainable from a financial point of view. We need partnerships. Then we started, okay, what type of partnerships can we attract? So we made our categories, we started talking to them, and then, okay, this is not like a good potential client category, but this one is. And once you identify your categories, you dig into it and try to find clients, hundreds of clients, and you try to talk to them, understand their problems, and see trends where you can fill the gaps. Because it's not like there is nobody to do this. There is definitely some competition. And if there's no competition, that's also another problem, because if there's no competition, that means there's no business. But even if there is competition, you need to find something that can differentiate yourself from the others so that people can go the extra mile of switching from an existing partner to another partner. Because in the job we do, there's a lot of stakeholders, there's a lot of factors you need to take into account, from warehousing, moving hundreds or thousands of spare parts, processes, communication. So very complex business. And these categories were the same in 2022, but the number of clients or the type of clients have changed over time. And in 2024, we added a new category as refurbishment of consumer products. So we opened up into additional channels of marketplaces like Back Market, Refurbed, or Decathlon or MediaMarkt. So these marketplaces where we can sell refurbished products. So all looks nice, but I also wanted to show the market evolution. I will not read it all, but regardless of how your plans look nice and how optimistic you are about the industry or how things evolve positively over time, there are also things you can never control. There are external factors like energy crisis or wars that you have no idea how you can control it. And it's like a chain events. You have that energy crisis increases inflation because all these companies had huge stocks that they were paying interest back to the bank. Those interests started to grow. And because of that, people started to pay less to such, let's say, luxurious items. And because there is no sales, you drop your prices further. So it all boils down to a collapse that the micromobility has faced. And we have seen within a few weeks or months, tens of bike brands, and some of these are 100 million, like huge holdings, going entirely bankrupt. And now we are in the recovery phase. And we also have our fair share of challenges out of this collapse, because the first two top clients we had were bankrupt. So we had to replace them. So we also have accumulated a lot of debt, and we are still trying to restructure our debt so that we can move forward. But right now, I can say we are in a very good position, and we are recovering from what was happening, and we are growing finally on the exponential sense rather than that linear growth story I just showed. One small detail, impact, we focused here on circularity, but your impact can be on a lot of different items. And we always say environmental impact on the circularity, sustainability by extending lifespan of devices. And there's also the social element where we support social economy by providing training and employment opportunities for people with a distance to the job market. And we always work with agencies or government institutions to help people in these difficult backgrounds, minority backgrounds. And there's a win-win scenario for both players in that space. To summarize, like I showed, I had some questions from Vikas I was supposed to touch upon, like how did you come to this point? And maybe in the Q&A I see similar questions. But it's all about validating the assumptions you have in your mind. Those assumptions are better validated by real clients rather than, of course, you start with a simple type form and you send people, they fill in. Those questions, even the type of those questions or how those questions are phrased are so important to understand the real needs or the real problems, challenges those clients are facing. It's actually becoming better to talk with these clients one by one. So you start having interviews. You start having them pay you, because that changes the whole dynamics. You can have customers saying, oh, I will buy your product regardless of its price. And you put a price 2,000 euros, of course, that client disappears. So the fact that you have real customers that pay you, it doesn't have to be hundreds or thousands of euros. Even if they pay you 9 euros or 5 euros, 10 euros, that somehow makes them committed. Those are your early adopters, and you try to treat them as best as you can, but also you try to extract as much as information from them about their expectations, about their experience going through your product journey. And that links me to the next point of, if you finance your business through revenues, even if it's a percentage, it doesn't have to be 100%, because that would mean you are already break even. Let's not dream that far. But even if you get 20% of your total funding or financing through your internal revenues, that's the best motivation you can have. And that will push you to increase that number so that you don't need external support. And like I showed you, there's an enormous number of iterations that we have gone through. And those were all driven by the feedback from the market, some external factors that I just mentioned. So you continuously evolve and adapt to changes. And if I have to leave with some messages, as you can take as learnings or takeaways, I think it all boils down to the one word, resilience. I call it obsession, because if you are not obsessed with what you are doing, you are probably doomed to fail. People call it thick skin. It definitely is a thick skin. So the number of rejections, the number of financial issues, the number of letters you get from banks, from lawyers, from court in some cases, makes you so fragile in the first instances. And after a while, you build something that is like a, how you call it? That's like a, I forgot the word, but that makes your skin so thick that you are no longer that fragile person, and you can bear those difficult messages you get from difficult people. And like I just previously mentioned, the flexibility to adapt and the pivots you make along the way actually are means to survive. So you are trying to navigate yourself in that uncertainty until you find something that actually sticks. And until you get there, you keep your options so wide open. As you can see, I had so many categories. One feedback I get from investors is like, so which one is your priority? I'm like, none of them. I don't have the luxury at the moment to choose one of them that performs perfectly, because I know next month, maybe that guy will not perform anything. So we keep them all open until we see which one really becomes a stable recurring revenue, so that we can build upon and make decisions perhaps later to kill some of those revenue streams. But for now, we go all the way in. I also need to mention it takes so much time. It takes incredible amount of time. You see now some businesses like Lovable from Sweden that just in 8 months they become a unicorn. Not all businesses are like that. It is definitely changing. AI definitely changing the speed of building something, especially for digital businesses, not like mine, physical businesses. But you don't have to be an AI business. And there's a hype. You are more likely to raise some funding for that, but there are also incredible amount of competition. And when it comes to circularity, there's a limited amount of things you can do with AI. But in our case, we accept what we are. We say, okay, this is our business. It takes time to build something, and you make a lot of mistakes. Rather than regretting all those mistakes, you can focus on them as learnings, and you can build by those learnings further. And it takes a lot of time to make all these connections that you meet someone 5 years ago, and you know at some point that person might change the whole story. Right now, it's somewhat confidential, but we are in a process of taking over another company, which is something I would never imagine doing. But that just came from a connection we had 3 years ago, that we had a chat, few meetings, then full silence for 3 years. And now we signed the agreements and there's financing going on. And so things can change very rapidly. And back to the resilience, you just push enough until that thing clicks. And that thing may click maybe in 2 years, maybe in 2 months, if you are lucky, maybe in 5, 10 years. And you will never be able to control that. So there's definitely a luck element in this space. And we nurture the relationships we have built. And right now I can see that it's helping to grow our business in an incredible speed that we have never seen before. And my last note is not all businesses are VC businesses. Everybody is biased that, oh, I have to go to this fancy VC that will give me millions of euros. That changes a lot of things. First of all, you may not be eligible or suitable for a VC investment, but even if you are, you may not be willing to take that money, because that can change your purpose, that can change the speed of implementing certain things, or your priorities even. Maybe you want to do impact and suddenly you are driven by growth and impact becomes a secondary topic. So you have to make your decisions, make your peace about how you want to run your venture. And you probably are better financed by grants, as Eve mentioned, as accelerators or government supports, angels, even banks. These are all prior things before going into VCs and before you have this hyperbolic growth scenario. I think that's all I had. Just one small slide about, we started in 2019, but we start from 2020. You can see our revenue was growing linearly. And now with this deal that I just mentioned, I think this will multiply a few times. So this will become that exponential growth. But what I wanted to show is this EBITDA was so negative, hundreds of thousands of euros. And suddenly we could flip it by taking dramatic measures in austerity and some additional restructuring. And this year we will probably make more margins than what is shown in here. So we are actually profitable just this year, and hopefully this will continue further. So it takes, like I said, quite some time to become that profitable. It's better if you start profitable from day one, but that doesn't always happen. And I call these big yellow things as mistakes and learnings that some of us have to go through to actually do it better and do it in the right way possible. So that's all I had. Thanks a lot. And you have my email, you have my phone, you can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to approach. I'm always happy to help if I can.
Evrim, thank you so much for the presentation. Wonderful. I mean, your journey is very, very inspiring, especially after the pivot. if I could ask you to, because when I was doing some research on your website on Cyclecure, if you could share your screen and show what business models, what different business models you offer, and maybe the journey, like you started with one business model and then you switched over to like B2B, and then how did you take those decisions, and why did you?
Good question. So you need our website, or you want me to go through the presentations?
No, the website, if you could just show on the
Sure.
website, please.
Another point about the website is that your website is the face in front of your clients, and after a while it becomes another thing. So you just see another pop-up showing up. So the main website was just for B2C repairs, meaning individuals who have a bike or a kick scooter that needs a repair. And we have built a basic flow that they can start a form. That form actually expanded further. It was only e-scooters in the beginning. Then we added e-bikes by hiring more bike mechanics. And since the beginning of this year, we added the option batteries. That is completely new, for instance. And these are all driven, like I said, by the demand. Because you say I'm repairing e-scooters, and you get 1 month a lot of clients who are saying, oh, we have a lot of problems with batteries. And you are just curious, what can we do about this? And because you repair so many batteries, what I call repair in that case is you just take the broken one, you put a brand new one. And the broken one is stored somewhere to be rusted and recycled. And then we populated so many broken batteries. We have looked at them. There are like hundreds of them, which is also a problem because of safety. And then we said, isn't there something we can do with these? So we started working with experts. So they opened all these batteries, and they look at the thing and they're like, this is a perfectly fine battery. Only the BMS, which is a small circuit battery management system, is broken, which is maybe 10 euro, 20 euro of a 300 euro battery. You just replace that guy, problem solved. So we suddenly started seeing a massive opportunity of why don't we repair these hundreds of batteries, or why don't we start building refurbished batteries? Then we started seeing the challenges of the regulations. How safely can we do this? Or what are the liabilities or risks attached to that? So you start a business. Initially, you start with very early stage things. So you start a type form. It's not necessarily, you don't have to be perfect at what you do. At that time, we said, okay, let's collect form submissions. We didn't even know what type of clients or why they would fill that form. We just did it. And then people started paying. And once they pay, you feel responsible to, of course, to deliver something. And you're like, oh shit, I have received some money, so I have to do something with that money. So you start building that product. So that's how it usually goes. Some people are super structured. They have the product ready before they can sell. There are also cases like mine that we sell first and then we build the product later. So that's the way we choose it, because if there is no demand, it's pointless that you build something for nobody. So we see first the demand. If we have to apologize, we refund the client, but at least we gather a number of insights from these people so that we can see if there is demand. So the original repair business was just this page, people fill the form, they come to the option of, we have workshops in Brussels and Antwerp, then we had pickup option, then we had mobile repair option. So we added additional things, but then we said, actually B2B is where we belong. Because individual clients, you have 100 clients, it's not enough to pay salaries, but also to get those clients to you. In the first 5 years, we spent maybe tens or hundreds of thousands of euros in marketing. Maybe not hundreds of thousands, but a lot of money in marketing, because you need SEO, you need ads on Facebook, on Google, on Microsoft, on different platforms. But after a while, once you have all the reviews, you can Google our name, let's say Cyclecure Antwerp, for instance. From a point that you start having reviews that are above 4.5, and the one for Brussels is 4.5, for instance, and Antwerp is 4.7, this already gives people a lot of confidence that they can actually choose us over somebody else. And then you try to optimize for the location. So people search something and they see us on the map. And then you stop paying marketing budget and you suddenly focus on the service then. So when it comes to B2B, we started, like I showed you, the categories. Then we said, why don't we do this for refurbished fleets? So we buy fleets from companies that go bankrupt, and usually these are hundreds of units. And then we resell those fleets to other operators who want to pay less, or they have a smaller demand than what the MOQs of these producers are. For instance, they expect you to give an order of 500 units, but this guy, for his village, he wants only 50 units. So we are that middle player that provides affordable fleets of kick scooters as well as e-bikes. And this became a massive industry we are kind of dominating right now. And then why we do this, while we do this, we said, why don't we do this for consumers? Then we started attacking the brands. Then we go after the brand and say, do you have a lot of returns? And of course they do, because in Europe they have this 30-day trial period that they have to refund free, no costs. So we started finding hundreds of units that are returned in perfect shape. Some of them are not in perfect shape, but a lot of them are. And you try to sell them on the secondary market with discounts of 30%, 40%, 50%. There's a market for that. And then you start building something on it. So I'm just not trying to confuse you, but we are doing so many things, and investors are asking, I mean, this is ridiculous. You do so many things and it doesn't make sense. And it's, how do you find your focus? What's your priority? But I can show you some cycles, like real circles, where everything is actually connected. So a product, a byproduct, an outcome of one of our processes, for instance, battery repair, is an input to the next step. Like we use that in another bike or another scooter. So we sometimes don't even need to source parts. We just make the parts ourselves from defective devices that we have collected. So we are really obsessed about the circularity aspect of reusing, dismantling, reusing parts, not only devices. And that also creates its own possibilities of revenues for us. Yes.
I'm not seeing any more questions, Evrim, but yeah, I'll just maybe give a minute for some more questions to arrive, and then maybe if there are none, then I'll just start my presentation and thank you. And so
all right.
While we're waiting, I might have one more question, and then probably we'll call it a day. Evrim, do you have your own workshops, your own mechanics, your own people, or do you outsource everything?
We insource everything, so we don't outsource anything. We all have our own workshops. We have, in every city we operate, there's a B2C workshop and a B2B workshop and a van that helps them to move around, also to do the remote servicing. And that structure we have in Brussels, so 2, and another 2 in Antwerp. And for the moment, that is sufficient to meet all the demand we have. With a new project that can exponentially grow us, we are taking over a much bigger workshop that we have right now. Like the sum of these 4 locations, it's bigger than that sum. Now we are trying to build that capacity, and we need to hire a lot of people to make that place operational. And we have quite some time limitations to make that. And it is quite common to have mechanics that are coming from interim agencies that are on a contract basis that you can stop and start anytime. We prefer not to go that way. We have done that. That has been very expensive and very unreliable. It's like a gamble. We try to choose those candidates, those mechanics with our own resources from the governments, like I said. And they all start through a training program during which they are paid perfectly well. And then we see how it evolves. If they are performing as we expected, we turn those into full-time contracts, and then we continue with those people. Up to now, we have always had our own mechanics that have been loyal to us since they started.
Okay, great. Thank you, Evrim. So I don't see any more questions, so I will let it be and not ask people for more questions. So Evrim, I really thank you for your presentation. Wonderful and such an inspiring success story. If you are calling yourself a success already, so thank you for inspiring us.
Thank you so much for
And
inviting.
sharing your knowledge and sharing your methodology of creating a startup. We could learn a lot from you. And we'll be in touch, Evrim, and let's see if we could work together. Thank you.
Cool. Ciao.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
all. Ciao.
So to the audience, thank you for being around. There are 25 people still with us, and I'm really happy that they're sticking around. I left the portion about Digital Loop Accelerator towards the end because we wanted the speakers to go first so that they could speak and then leave. So I'll be talking about what the Digital Loop Accelerator is, what the fundamentals are, what are digital loops, first of all. So let me begin very quickly. And there was one question that I saw about people from Kosovo being able to gain access or not. So I'll be addressing that as well. So let me start by first of all discussing what are digital loops. So if you study the most successful startups all over the world, especially in Europe, you'll find this is a list of all the successful startups in Europe. Most of them are quite prominent. They're earning revenue. When you study them, you find that there are certain patterns that they follow. I don't know why this is not going away. So, okay. So if you divide all these startups in different patterns, you'll find that there are 5 patterns that are repeated. We call them digital loops. Let us say Vinted. Vinted is a behemoth. It's a unicorn from Lithuania that is in a customer to customer. So it allows people to list their used clothes, and then it invites consumers on the other side to check out the used clothes and they can buy. That way, it's a circular economy. It's helping people recycle their clothes. Plenty is a startup from Poland, which is renting out electronic goods. People use, they buy electronic goods, such as VR glasses, let's say, or video games. And then they use it for some time, and then they don't need it, and it goes to waste. So Plenty is allowing people to rent instead of buying electronic equipment. The customers can rent out equipment for a limited period and not having to buy it. So this way, when you study various startups, you find that there are other digital loops. So some of we will be discussing that in the due course of time. But let's see how a typical digital loop works like. So this is a digital loop, let's say, which could be typically applied to fashion, and Montreat is a typical example. We'll be having Montreat in the next webinar. So you build certain recyclable products or certain products from recyclable material, let's say waste from the fashion industry. You build products out of that, and then you list them. So at the core of any digital loop is a tech platform. It's a marketplace where you have sellers, where you have buyers. Sometimes your seller can be you yourself. That the startup can itself build products, or it create a fashion line which is a recyclable, or it's made from eco-friendly goods. Then you list the goods on the platform, and then you attract consumers to the platform to check out the products and buy them. It's a typical marketplace or even e-commerce model, but what's the difference? Why is it a circular economy? It's circular economy because it helps in recycling or refurbishing or reusing products. So that's the core of the thing. So any platform or marketplace that is helping recycle or reuse or refurbish used products or eco-friendly products and helping consumers find them and buy them or rent them is a circular economy startup. So there are 5 such digital loops. And this is a typical rental loop. There are others which are, this is, I will simply use this one because it's, there is another one where you, instead of selling the products, you rent them out for a physical, for a particular time period. Let's say we just heard from Bundlee, their model where they rent out babies' clothes and not sell them. The other one is where individuals come and list their products. These are individual sellers, and this is where Vinted, the model that Vinted follows. They list the individual sellers, their used clothes, the clothes that they no longer need, even bicycles, even other sports goods. They could list them on the marketplace, and then they can attract consumers to check out these products and buy them. So we have seen that there are 2 typical business models, but there could be more. One is buying used clothes or buying eco-friendly clothes. And this second is rental. So people, this is a very popular model, which we discussed and there are plenty of startups. We'll be hearing more from other startups also. Then there is another digital loop, number 4, which is typically where restaurants, when they are, at 8 o'clock, when they are closing, there are some leftover food items, let's say a cake or sandwich, which is expiring. And they don't want to throw this food waste, into the waste bin, and they would rather sell it at a discount. So they can list their products on your marketplace, and at let's say from between 6 to 8 p.m. they can give a 50% discount. The consumers check out the product, and they say, okay, I'm picking up this product. They buy on the platform, and then they pick up the product personally. So in the last webinar, we saw how Munch is doing it. And then there is the last one of the 5 digital loops. There could be more, but the 5 that we are promoting, or we are inspiring people to consider, is a typical electronic refurbishing circular business digital loop, where you have a gadget, you have a cell phone, you have a computer, after 2 years, it's like its life is over, like you're bored of it and you want to buy a new one. Don't throw it away. You sell it to a company like Swappy. It does that, or Swappy then takes it, refurbishes it, and then sells it at a higher price, and then it gets recycled. So basically, circular economy is all about recycling, reusing, and refurbishing. So digital loops are helping such startups build and the consumers buy or rent such products and help participate in the economy, in the circular economy. Now let's see when you go to the Digital Loop Accelerator, the website, our website, you'll find all the information here. When you're checking it out, whether this program is suitable for you or not, it has a very simple set of steps. I'll be coming to it, but you can find here the 5 digital loops. If you want more information about what these loops are, and you want to do some more homework about it, you can actually go to the FAQ section, and you can download all these presentations that I just showed you. What are digital loops? And the presentation, you can actually start researching each and every brand, and then you will understand better. By the way, these brands are all these companies, all these circular economy companies are doing pretty well, and they're earning millions of euros in revenue. So this is a very powerful technique to build startups that start generating revenues very, very quickly. You don't have to wait for too long to generate revenues. And the focus of DLA is to help you generate revenues faster. Don't focus too much on idea or building big technology. Focus on starting to sell build a platform quickly, get somebody to list the program, their products, attract consumers to come and check out the products on the platform, and then they rent it out or they buy the product, and then you start generating revenue. So it's a very revenues focused program. You can find other useful material in this section. Let me now take you to another presentation where I give you a brief introduction about the Digital Loop Accelerator, how it is designed. So this is the typical design of the accelerator. So you'll find that there are a few parts which are important. So this is the venture. So it's a 4-month venture studio that takes in teams. It takes in 10 startup teams. It doesn't take in existing startups. If you have an existing startup, we will figure out a way of seeing how you can participate. But basically, you have to team up with at least 2 people and then apply. But before you apply, you attend webinars. That's important because webinars are important. Or if you are late and you haven't seen, we missed all the webinars, you check out the videos. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Why are webinars so important? Of course, you get the information about the program, but also you hear case studies from live case studies from entrepreneurs who show you how they build startups, what their business model is like, how much money they're making, what were the challenges they faced, and so on. So first step is attend these webinars and seminars. And after the webinars, the DLA team will be coming to some location close to you, whether it's Albania, Kosovo, North Macedonia, will be coming and we'll be giving live seminars, and you'll understand the program even better. However, the entrepreneurs, the foreign entrepreneurs from circular economy space, they will not be there, but we can play videos of that. So you take in 10 startups in the when the 10 startups start in the venture accelerator, venture studio, they are given up to 47,000 euros of grant money in tranches. Right at the beginning, they will get about 9,000 euros as the first tranche. At the midpoint, a decision will be taken who are the best 5 performing startups. What is a performance of the startup? If you have tie-ups with some sellers, if you are attracting consumers, if you have a platform set up, you have a good performance. But if you are already making revenue within the first 2 months, then absolutely excellent. I mean, you're great. I mean, you're the best. But however, the program is designed in such a way to push you towards generating revenue. Don't spend too much time building technology. Start selling, build an MVP, and then start selling. Start listing. Don't spend too much time that my marketing campaign will be perfect, and then I will start selling. No, you do it in parallel, but the sooner you start selling, the sooner you start generating revenue, the sooner you will have a kind of motivation to keep going and find new ideas. So the program will help you do that, exactly that, to help you build revenues very, very quickly. So after the midpoint, only 5 startups will get the second tranche. And at the end of the program, just before the demo day, we'll announce 3 winners. And definitely, we are very, very hopeful that these 3 winners, the top 3 winning prizes, like first prize, second prize, third prize, they will be revenue positive. They will have revenue. So if you want to start a real company which is generating revenue, join this program and leave the rest to us. You have to give us. I'll talk to you about what you have to do, the steps that you have to do before you apply. But let me go back and show you a few things on the website that I promised. So when you go to the website on the main page, you will find the calendar. And this calendar will list you the webinars and seminars that are scheduled. So after this webinar, after attending this webinar, you might have a few more doubts. We will be coming to your location, most probably. And those seminars, those live seminars will be listed here. So right now there is, it doesn't show anything in the seminar in September, but most likely we'll be doing a few seminars and we'll be coming to somewhere location close to you. So let us say you missed a few webinars, like let's say the last 2 webinars. The last one probably you missed. So what you might want to do is check out the recording of this one. And this becomes important not for my speech, but for the case studies that these 2 gentlemen presented. And you can actually go and watch this recording on YouTube. If you, from the beginning, you can watch, or actually you can go to the particular case study, and then you can straight away jump to the case study of Munch, where this case study, the particular case study is being discussed. Okay, there is, my computer became slow and it got stuck. Okay, so let me just go and so if you need to go to a particular case study, just click on that link and it'll take you to the appropriate location in the YouTube. Similarly, when you if you want to see Circuli, you click on that Circuli link and it will take you to the appropriate location. Let me get back to my presentation. Okay, so as I said, there are a few characteristics of this program. They are not, it's not a typical startup acceleration program, because first of all, you don't need to have a startup. You need to have a team of two people, just band up, just apply, team up with 1 more person minimum, or you could have even a team of 3 people or 4, 5 people, but we will advise you not to have teams of more than 3 people. Then there's a huge focus, not so much on building technology, not so much on coming up with great ideas. Just choose a simple idea from one of the 5 digital loops that we present you. You can find them on the website or in this presentation. I showed you where. Choose one of the digital loops. The webinars, the case studies presented in the webinars will give you certain ideas. You can actually mix and match a few digital loops, and you can design your own digital loop. So you can present your 6th design also, like digital loop number 6. You can present that to us, and then you can give us your idea. And then depending on the idea and your plan, we'll be saying, okay, this is a great one, and you can come and join. Then the next focus is a lot of accelerators focus on improving your knowledge and so on. But here we are heavily focused on helping you generate revenues, because the mentors that are working with us, the Albanian mentors, the local mentors, and the foreign mentors, they are all practitioners. They have created startups very, very quickly. They're very revenue focused. They know how to create startups themselves. So they'll be helping you create startups that generate revenue within the first few months, like even as fast as 2 months. Some of the mentors that we have on board, they create revenues within the first month. So that's the focus, so that you start seeing results very, very quickly. When revenues come in, your motivation goes high, and you keep building and you keep trying new ideas. Before you start applying, there'll be a few things I will strongly recommend to you. And these are the steps that you might want to follow. First of all, attend at least 1 webinar, or at least look at the case studies presented. This is very, very important. The case studies, they will give you an idea of what these digital loops are and how people build startups around them. If possible, attend 1 seminar, but if you have attended a webinar and you understand after navigating the website that what this program is about, you may skip this seminar and submit the application. It's all right. But the first thing that you should do is, when you are thinking of applying, you should team up with people. The best way is to team up with somebody you know. That's one. The second is that you should aim for a diversity of skills. That is, if you are a techie and you team up with another techie, it is not a great idea. So you're a techie and you team up with a marketing person, or you are a person who has sales skills, and you team up with somebody who has marketing skills. That's a great diversity, and you can get started, because these startups require less technology because they are built on standard models. It's not so much, not so difficult. More on the more about how you can experiment, how you can sell, how you can do some marketing, and so on. If you don't know, if you don't have these skills, there are mentors associated who will show you how marketing is done, how selling is done. So don't worry about it. You should have a rough idea what you want to do, how you want to build the startup, and what your direction would be, what plan or what strategy you would like to follow. So the next step is select the digital loop, any digital loop between the first to the fifth one, 1 to 5, or you can create your own sixth one. And if you need to consult us at any point, please reach out. I'll be happy to guide you. And then you present a plan as to, okay, how will you build this startup? How will you acquire customers or the consumers? How will the consumers come to your platform and start, visiting your platform and start buying? What direction? I mean, don't give us a very detailed plan, but just some idea as to how you will acquire those customers and consumers. And then you apply, and your application will be considered absolutely favorably if all the elements are correct. So here is a quick introduction about the application form. Here is the application form, and you mention your team. You mention your team after a few details. Then you give your plan. You choose the digital loops, so you can choose one of these 5 loops. Again, let me go back and show you. If you are in doubt, you go here to the home page. Look at the digital loops. There are 5 of them. You can understand. You can go to these case studies. Click on this. Let's say Plenty. If you click on this, I think it should take you to Plenty. So you can actually go to Plenty and do some research. You want another, you want to check out another digital loop. You can click on the brand name, and you can check out what this startup is doing. So do your research a bit, and then you select your you formulate your own digital loop, or select one of the standard ones, and you try to understand your customer segment. Who are you targeting? Whether it's young parents, or you're targeting children, or you're targeting video game enthusiasts. Who are you targeting, and what are you going to sell to them, or what are you going to rent? So it's either rent or sell. These 2 models work. And then you give us a plan, and then certain elements which are important in the application, and will be definitely very considering your application very, very seriously. And here, am I eligible or not? This question might arise in your mind. So yes, you will be eligible if you have a team of 2 people at least. We are discouraging. We are not even allowing teams of 1 person or single person teams. We need to have 2 people at least. Next is that at least 1 person in the team should speak Albanian, and that you should not have won any grant money in the last 12 months. So any grant money from an international organization or some donor organization in Albania. So please check that fact because we don't want you to keep surviving on grants. We want you to actually use grant as a mechanism to start earning revenues. Next is if you apply, what will help us decide in your favor? That is, yes, you qualify or you don't qualify, and will make you part of the batch. One is your team composition, as I said. How many people? If it's 1 person, then of course not allowed. If it's 3 people, all right, great. But what kind of backgrounds do these 3 people have? What kind of skill sets do they bring to the table? What experience do they have? Having experience in a startup it's not that important. It's not that important. If you have some work experience, great. But otherwise, if you have a lot of energy, a lot of willingness to experiment, or certain natural skills at selling or marketing, absolutely welcome. You are absolutely welcome to apply. Then we need to understand, as I said, what is your plan, what is your strategy, and last of all is if you have if you introduce some innovativeness, at least how is your idea innovative in the Albanian context? So if you can write about it to us, it'll be great. So those elements, the most important elements are the team and the plan. Which digital loop you select and what is your plan. So with that, I end my part, and I'm willing to take questions. If you don't have any questions right now, I'm okay. When you meet us in a seminar, you can ask all the possible questions because we'll be meeting face to face. Okay, so let me start by answering this question that I said I'll be answering. Our business is legally registered in Kosovo, but we operate in Albania and the Balkans, eligible for this grant. Generally, we are asking not businesses or startups to apply. If you're from Kosovo, don't apply. If you already have a presence, the startup already has a presence in different countries, great. Like I congratulate you. You can apply as a team. You can keep running the business alongside. You can create a spin-off, or you can create a new company in this for this DLA program. But you apply as a team. When it comes to creating the company, eventually when the program starts, when you're selected, then you can say, okay, I will create the legal entity under my existing company. That's totally okay. We don't bother about that, but you have to, unless your existing company is a circular economy company, which is, in line with the program, in line with the digital loops. It's very much aligning with the concept of digital loops. Unless it's that way, we will ask you to apply with a separate idea, with a different, thought process. We'll not ask you to, continue building your company through this program. That's not the idea of this program. The idea is to build a totally new company with a digital loop kind of circular economy business model, which will earn revenues. And if you check out certain examples from, we saw already 2 case studies, but also if you check out certain examples from given in the presentation that I showed you, which you'll find on the website, you'll find that a lot of these businesses are earning money. A lot of circular economy startups earn money. They start making money very quickly. So I believe there are no more questions. Or there is one more. No. So I think I've answered all of them. Yeah, I see one more. Okay. Hi, is this program for circular eco-friendly businesses only? This was asked some time back. So no, this is not necessarily eco-friendly. Eco-friendly, I could understand as, making eco-friendly products. But, eventually circular economy startups help save the environment and the earth and climate change and so on by recycling, refurbishing, reusing. But if you have, so they are rather business models which offer value to the customer in such a way that the customer says, okay, let me not buy a new product, let me rent it out. Let me not buy a new product, let me buy a used one, or let me not throw my electronic gadget, let me sell it or refurbish it and sell it on so on. So it encourages circularity, it encourages recycling, refurbishing, etc. But you don't have to have eco-friendly products. The products that you sell or rent don't have to be eco-friendly. They could be electronic items, they could be clothes, they could be food items, which are anyway eco-friendly. They could be bicycles. If you do some research, a lot of these circular economy businesses are centered around, let's say, renting out bicycles, renting out clothes, renting electronic equipment. So they're not eco-friendly products. But yes, eventually the business becomes eco-friendly because it encourages recycling and reusing and refurbishing. I'm hoping I answered all your question. Okay, I'm getting a question from one of the panelists. Can you explain? Can you try and explain briefly the startups of the last webinar? I'm trying to get some feedback from the remaining viewers on that. Yeah, so I would, yes, so this is a good pointer. If you could give us a feedback about how we could improve the webinars. We have designed the webinars where I keep my portion the minimum, and more focus is done on the speakers. And if you could send us feedback or write your feedback here, it'll be great. You know, what the audience might want to do is you can send us email about how the webinars could be improved, or what things we could take up in the seminars when we reach out to you, or even mention certain information on the website if you find it missing. If you find it not clear, we'll take your feedback. But we have one more webinar, webinar 3, on the 28th of August. And you will be sent a survey. Okay, I'm learning that you'll be sent a survey. And in the survey, we will love to hear from you what we could do better in the webinar 3. So kindly share that survey responses with us, and we'll certainly like to improve our webinar performance and make it more entertaining. So with that, because there are no more questions, so let us wrap it up, and we will meet you all in webinar 3, where 2 more case studies will be present, and we'll be presenting 2 more case studies. We'll be presenting 2 real entrepreneurs will be showing how their startups work, and I will be insisting on them on giving live demos and not doing presentations, because that's the best way to learn for all of you. So I'll make this point very clear that they do a live demo of their application or the startup or the application on the website, and that way it will be much clearer. So I hope to see you all of them in the next webinar. You can check out, it's 28th of August, and you can check out the calendar on the website and book your slot. Thank you, and we'll see you soon again. Bye-bye.